Over here on the board, I have a drawing for you guys, and I do have what we started with, or what I came up with was the idea. So it's very, very simple. Rather than straight lines, I thought about curved lines, because many of the sessions that we've done prior to this, we've done with straight lines. So now I want to go into curved lines. Now what you should know as far as design goes, a curved line is always going to be a little bit softer, a little bit more feminine, a little sexier than a straight line. We are going to implement, or the idea of implementing this curved area into my haircut, I thought about it and I said, I'm going to put it the same exact curve. I'm going to put it on the back of the head, and I'm going to put it on the front of the head, which you could see down here. And what you're going to realize after the haircut is complete, what a strong design this creates for us with the idea of simply taking one simple curved line and applying it to the back of the haircut and then to the front of the haircut. What will happen here is you'll see a curved design in the fringe. Then we'll have a straight drop, and this is important because what I want to create for you guys is I want to create a straight drop that looks almost one length hair. So we're going to have a total disconnection from this area to this area, and then go up into the back with, again, our curved line. So that's the idea of the haircut. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take and play with textures. So what I am going to do here is, in this situation in the fringe with the triangle here, I am going to keep that one length, or very, very heavy in that area. So the fringe is going to be very, very heavy, and everything behind this fringe, so the sides and the back, are going to be brought up. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring this up and back and cut a soft line, usually probably point cutting, and we're going to just shift all of this hair up and back. So we're going to be doing layering for you with the back and sides of this haircut. But remember, by pulling this back, we create distance, which creates length. So we're going to have a lot more texture in the back here and a lot less texture towards the face. So again, this side will stay almost one length, whereas the back will have a lot of layers. Now, when we talk about the laws of haircutting, short pushes long hair, or pushes and support. So which way or what direction is this haircut going to go? Well, here in the sides and the back, it's going to go forward. And then what's going to happen is the fringe area here, because the shortest point is here, is going to push back against that haircut. So all of the motion or direction of this haircut is all going to wind up down at this point in the haircut here. So that's the concept. We're going to see how it works out here on our mannequin. Hopefully, again, it's an idea that we're going to make a reality, and that's when we talk about designing haircuts as opposed to just cutting hair. The way which we design our clients is her face shape or his face shape and the body proportions and all that good stuff that we utilize as we do this stuff. But since I only have Sam 2s to work with for you guys, and by the way, I'm getting low on mannequins, we're going to try and create this look with the concept of the curved line. So to get started with this haircut, what we're going to do is we're going to take a line from the occipital bone down, and we're going to just bring that down slightly. I'm going to curve it a little bit. There's only 3 ways of cutting hair. I know you guys have heard me say that a long, long time, lots and lots and lots of times, but there's only 3 ways to cut hair. So that's just how we have to live with it. What we do with those 3 ways of cutting hair, that's a whole different ball game. So when we talk about being able to cut hair and being able to create what we want, what we need to do is we need to figure out whether we're going to go one length, graduation, or layers. One length, if I cut this design one length down at 0, which I'm going to start with, and I'm going to then elevate it to graduation. The one length is heavier, graduation is lighter. A lot of the haircuts that we do today are much lighter in design. So I'm going to start off in the middle. Okay, and if you remember, I did a session where creating a round, okay, is sometimes easier with straight lines and taking the corners off. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take this haircut. I'm going to bring it up to about the middle of the neck. And I'm going to take that haircut to about there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to shift that hair down this way. And what you're seeing me do is I'm taking that straight line in there, and then I'm going to curve it down and out from the corner. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. As I work, I'm going to continually move my hands upward so I make that curve the way we want it. Now you're saying to yourselves, well, why would you start off with a straight line if you want to create a curve or a shape that's curved? And one of the reasons is for balance. I think that the base or the corner of the neck area there is an area that's pretty flat, and I want it to have a starting point so I don't get a point. If I get a point there, I'm going to tend to look like it's more of a straight line as opposed to a curved line, and that's my thinking about it. You could agree or disagree. You have every right to agree to disagree with me, but again, that's the idea, and that's what I'm going to do. Almost forgot what I wanted to start with. I'm going to start with graduation. So I did the one length, and again, just for the heaviness. What we're going to do now is we're going to shift this back, and what you're seeing me do is I'm going to just start taking that haircut and elevating it slightly, so I can have a little bit of action in the back here. Following the same process as I did earlier, meaning taking that short middle straight line and elevating that, and then taking the three, so we're basically working in three sections. Okay, elevating that palm to palm. If you notice, I changed my my scissor position to do that. Checking the lengths on my mannequin, very easy when you have a white base for a neck. When you do it for a person, you want to check that. You want to make sure that you're, again, in the right position. And make sure that that is good and solid, that first section. That's really, really important to make sure you're even in this situation, because everything else that's coming back to here is going to be on that design line. So that is our guideline for the entire cut in the back. So we want to make sure that that's good and straight before we actually go into the rest of the haircut. Going to be taking slightly small sections compared to what we do these days, just because it is graduation and I want that stacked look from it. So we're going to just take that center section again. But we're going to now not go to one length anymore. We're going to go up to elevation, underneath for elevation, on top for alignment. Look for my guideline, which is right there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to elevate this up, bringing it to our guideline, looking for that guideline, and starting our cut. Same thing on the other side. Looking for that guideline, curving that hair up, and connecting to that straight line in the middle. Continuing our haircut through this back area, taking those sections. Once we get above the ears, we will incorporate the front as well, or the sides, not necessarily the top. Again, starting with that small straight area in the middle. projecting, and check for our guide, take it off. Come to the side. Look for that guide. Again, just curving that, making that diagonal haircut a little bit curvier than it would be if it was a straight line. Same thing on this side. Just take a piece of the corner of that straight line. Look for your guide. Bring this back. Follow that line. Okay, I'm going to continue, and I hope I don't bore you guys too much. If you have questions or comments, please ask. It's great to be able to have communication, even though it's via the internet, via Facebook. I would love to answer any questions you might have of this haircut, because this is our graduation. It does take some time, but it is a bit of precision hair cutting here, so we do have to take a little bit of time to get it right. Okay, so I'm pretty pleased with that so far. I like what I'm seeing. I hope you guys like what you see so far, but we're getting that curvature in that shape that we want, and we're going to just move this now into the front area. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this section and actually blend it right into the side. One of the points that I did not bring out, and I'll bring it out on the other side when I bring that next section down, is how the sections on the sides are taken for this particular haircut. So I'm going to be taking this side down for you, and I want to make sure that you understand that when we talk about the separation between the back and the side, that there is a point in the ear that we have to be aware of. I did do this in another video for you guys and explain to you that when we're doing a design that's one length or one line from front to back, we usually go behind the ear, especially when we're doing detailed work like this. We want to make sure that when we have to deal with the ear, we're dealing with it in the front of the haircut, not necessarily while we're doing the back. So we do it behind the ear, about a ½ an inch behind the ear. If you were doing a design which changes from front to back, which we can definitely do, I can do this curvature line in the back here, and I could then change my line to a horizontal in the front, or even this way. The idea of that being changed, we would probably take our side section to about the middle of the ear, because that would be more appealing for the haircut. And of course, if we're doing a haircut where we are doing the around the ear type of haircut, like in a men's haircut, the plan would be is that we would actually connect or put the side parting all the way up to where the ear connects to the face. Because when you're going around the ear with a short haircut, when you're cutting in front of the ear, you're going up, and when you go to the top where the ear connects, you are then turning your scissors the opposite way and then cutting down. If you keep going up with your scissors, that's going to be a problem, because you might cut into their hairline. So again, just a little key point that you should take with you so that you know how we take our side sections when we teach at our school. Okay. Check to make sure my sections are good and even. Again, our sectioning is our roadmap to our haircut. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get into this back area, connecting right into our side area of our haircut. Okay, back to this we go. Small little tiny section in the center. Separate. Elevate. And we're not doing a very high graduation, we're doing a low graduation here. And the difference between high graduation and low graduation is the degree in which you lift the hair away from the head. So I can lift this up as high as I want, up to under 90 degrees. So a high graduation, the higher I lift it, the higher the graduation, or the more graduation I get. The lower I go, the less graduation or lower graduation or heavier haircut I get. Okay? And we're going to just leave the side out for now. We're going to take this here. Again, dropping some of the guide, the previous guide, working to that corner of that straight area, and now coming in with our scissors. Here we go. Now, we've reached a point in our haircut here where we're going to now continue through the side. I'm going to continue to elevate and keep this down again low, and I want to keep this heavier towards the front. So I'm not shifting it, and I'm going to bring it down to a point where I feel is good for our haircut. Now on a person, this length here will be determined by her cheekbones, her chin, her neck length, her shoulders. All that anatomy would come into play when I'm going in and doing this haircut to determine, before I ever pick up my scissors, how short is it going to be in the back and how long is it going to be in the front. Those are important aspects that you have to take into consideration before you actually go in and do a haircut for that. I'm going to just flip to the other side. I think we'll be okay with that. And I'm going to now just come in and continue on this side of this haircut. Just going to separate my side from my back. And what we're going to do now is we're going to drop some of our guideline. We're going to look for that little corner of that front. We don't want to take that straight line and cut the corner off where we started it. We want to make sure that stays, but we want to connect to the corner and not necessarily there we go. Starting low, coming up, curving the scissors slightly. Missed that piece. Going into our side. Again, elevating it, using the guide from behind the ear. Now, again, another point that I brought out in the past is if you are afraid of actually cutting it too short on this side because you've completed the length on that side, purposely make it longer, which I'm doing it as an example. It's a good safety valve, and I still use it today, but I used to use it a lot more. Usually when I do it now, 9 out of 10 times I wind up even, but here you could see I'm slightly longer on this side, but that's okay because now I can go in and correct because I know how much more I have to take off this side, and that's how I protect myself from accidentally going too short on this side when I just cut the opposite side. So I'm going to come back out and I'm going to use the same idea, same projection angle, just to even up that length. So a good safety valve for you guys to make sure that you're cutting and not cutting too short. That should probably do it. Nope, just a little bit more. I'd rather take the time now to make sure they're even before I continue with the rest of this haircut and wind up with something that's off balance. So now I'm happy with that. We're going to take a couple more sections down and then we're going to go into our fringe area. So down comes the next to last section. Pin this up out of the way. I'm going to switch combs here simply because that one seems to have a nick in it from probably a scissor. I'm going to drop this down. Elevate, low elevation, straight line. There's that guide. Come to the side. Do not take all your sections from underneath. Use this guideline. Follow it. Curve it. You could see me raising my elbow as I go.
We have a question.
Go ahead.
Are you dragging back the front pieces to get more length at all, or keeping it on base?
Keeping it on base, but elevating it outward. So I really am elevating it slightly to create a low graduation, just a little bit of graduation here, which ties in with the more graduation in the back. But I'm not shifting it and elevating it, which would create even more graduation. I want to keep this front heavy because of what I'm going to do with the layering and things like that. And the sharp line I want to have down along the side of the face here, like we talked about earlier. So the idea of elevating it, yes. Shifting in the front, no. Okay. Going over to the opposite side now. Looking for that corner of my haircut, following that guideline. So in the back, we're creating a little bit more graduation than we are in the front. Trying to keep it as natural, but again, elevated in the front as we can. We're just dragging it away from the head slightly, continuing with that curved line. It's a classic A-line bob, never changes. It does change based on your design, but the shape of this haircut never changes. It's what you do with the bob, the A-line, that determines what you like about it and what you don't like about it. So the last section comes down. We follow the same procedure we started with, and then we're going to go into the fringe area, throw in a couple of layers, and voila, we're done for today. Coming out, elevating it, following that straight line, that right in the middle there. Coming to the side. Elevate, align, start with the line around that corner, come here, again, not as much drag, so we're playing with the angle of elevation here, and we're also playing with the drag here. So back here we're dragging a little bit, we're elevating a little higher, and as we go forward, we're elevating a little lower. So again, I have more graduation down here and a less graduation towards the face. That's the benefit of knowing your different haircuts, like graduation, one length, and layers. When we talk about a graduated haircut, there are 3 ways that you can create graduation. One, you have to know what graduation is all about and that it only works on the exterior of a haircut. When you talk about the 3 ways of creating graduation, one is by pulling really, really hard in the hair. That's called tension. The other way in which we can create graduation is by lifting it out. And then the last way we can create graduation is by shifting. So those are the 3 things we use to create graduation. And again, when you do use them, you can adjust them, those 3 ways, any way you wish, to create more or less graduation in your haircuts. So playing with graduation and being able to try new things and putting less in the back of the head and more in the front of the head, that's what we do, and that's how we create these cool haircuts. Going to move on, and again, remember, we're going to be doing some layering through the back, but we're not going to do it in the front here. So what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to take this fringe, which I've already pre-sectioned, just clip this out of the way. Again, remember, I want this all to be one length here. Slight graduation. I lied. It's not true one length, but it's pretty close to being one length in the front here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our fringe area and we're going to create that concave effect in this area for you. I'm not going to use these, but I just want to introduce you guys to these. If you could see closely, these scissors are curved or bent. And these scissors were sold a long time ago regarding, I believe, a company called Buttercut created these scissors. And I remember an individual down in South who was a woman that taught how to use these curved scissors to actually twist the hair and how to create curly hair to be curlier. And what she showed us, or what we taught a long time ago, and I'm sorry I'm getting off tangent here, but what the hell. I want to share as much as I can with you guys. What we do is we take this, and she showed us a technique where you take the curved scissors and twist the hair and keep cutting with the curved scissors by sliding them and twisting them. And that's what she did, and she showed us how we can create curl or more activated texture in someone's hair with these curved scissors. So I was thinking the whole time when I was figuring out what we're going to do for you guys today, well, how can I use those curved scissors for this concave? Because that would be really cool. Curved scissor, concave, but I'm not, those things are so dull and been in my bag for so long, I have no idea if they even cut anymore. But we'll get them back into gear, I guess, one day soon. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to now take this and we're going to just bring this hair into the center. And I think you guys have seen me do this before. What you're talking about here is you're talking about distribution of hair. And what I mean by distribution is I need to make sure that this hair on this side is the same as this hair coming into my fingers on this side. Whoops. Don't pick that up if you're at the state board. When you get this area to where you want it, okay, and balanced, you want to take your time here to make sure that that haircut is right where you want it, where that hair is going to be. And once you feel comfortable with the balance and the distribution of the hair, we can then cut it off. So I'm going to be cutting it about the middle of the nose. Going to leave a little extra length. I could always clean it up afterwards a little bit if necessary. So we're going to just take this haircut here. We're going to just take this down. You could see I'm slightly lower in the corners, slightly higher in the center. And one little piece right there. And even though I said this was one length earlier, in reality it's graduation, because why? Well, part of graduation is shifting. And by me shifting this haircut into the center, it created graduation in my haircut. So we're done with the fringe. You could see that that's just a quick, easy way to create a concave fringe for you. And then what we're going to do now is we're going to go into some layering. So wet her down, layer her out. Again, everything's going to get pulled back because I want this to be shorter in the back here. I came up with the idea of having a diagonal line coming back this way because this is staying all long. I want to get some short bits behind it to play with texture, and then shorter in the crown, getting to longer towards the bottom. So I'm going to lift it first out like this, and then what I'm going to do is layer it straight down like that, pulling everything towards the back. Okay, I'm going to wet her down for that. Starting out with a center section, right down the center of the mannequin. Determining the length I want, and I want a disconnection from there. So we're going to create a change in the texture from front to back, and we're going to cut this layering into the haircut. I'm going to bring this hair up into the crown area. Point cut this off just to create a little bit of texture for us. So you could see that line there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that guideline, bring it down through the center back just to break up that weight line through the bottom there. So layering is the lightest of all hair cutting. And when you talk about layering, it's the only technique that we have that releases weight. So that's my starting point from the top. There it is. I'm going to come out to there, come with a straight line all the way down. You could see the graduation now coming up this way, and that's what we're going to be doing. Take our next section there, bringing it up to our guideline. Make sure when you're doing your point cutting, keeping it fingers below the guideline. Remember, you're going into your hand with your scissors. So you want to be below that guideline. So you'll see a disconnection from the fringe to the back, and that's what I'm trying to achieve, just to play with texture a little bit. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to come here, straight out. There's my guideline. Take it off, releasing some of that weight line down at the bottom. Okay, continuing taking sections. Bringing that hair up to our guide, off it comes. Now we're going to bring it back and down. There's that corner I built. Building corners in a haircut are what create interest in shape. And what you don't see me on this side doing, which I'll share with you on the other side, is I'm going to keep taking this hair, bringing it up, and I want to make sure that the length that I have here does not get taken away. And if it does, I'm going to change my design a little bit so I don't take away that corner that I've created up front there. One last section here. Pulling it back, connecting to that corner. Okay, going to do the same thing on this side. I'll stand back here, taking the pie section, bringing this hair up. There's the guideline, off it comes. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get all that hair off. There's the corner. There's my next layer. And then taking that into our weight line at the bottom, which was created by the graduation. Another section. Looking for that guideline. Off it comes. Pulling back. Looking for that corner. There it is. So the whole idea of this, because it's such a simple design line, which is the curve, and I did the curve in the front and the curve in the back, by doing these layers, what I'm creating is a play in texture. When we talk about a play in texture, we're talking about layers versus the heavier front. And that's what I wanted to do for you. Okay, again, last section. Bringing it up. When I'm cutting, I handle curly hair the same way. But again, I've spoken in the past regarding curly hair. When you talk about curly hair, it depends on how the client wears their curly hair. Do they wear it curly? Because if they wear it curly, then I'm going to create my shape with my haircut into a curly haircut, I would do wet. I would cut the hair wet because that's the way they wear their haircut. And when you talk about the idea of curly hair, if she's wearing it most of the time, always curly, then I want to create the shape of my haircut while it's wet because I'm working with the curls to create the shape of the haircut. When they're talking about clients who wear curly hair but they wear it dry, well, again, the idea of curly hair being dry is I'm going to cut it dry. I would cut it and I would cut it dry so that the actual haircut winds up looking correct and the shape looks right looking at it when it's dry. So again, then you have the person who wears their hair curly and straight, and then it poses a problem. What I would do is I'd initially cut my shape in while it's wet, blow dry it, and do the finishing work on dry hair when I would have a client like that. So what I'm going to do is, because these mannequins are so thick, I'm going to just take a little bit of texturizing. We saw me do this on scoop cutting. I'm just breaking up those ends. These mannequins are like wigs. They have way too much hair. I wish I had their hair. I wish I had hair. So we're just taking a little bit of weight out of there. Just a little more texture. Leave that front. Leave the front out. Break it up. Check it visually. See what you got. Blow it out. Okay. So what I wanted to do for you today is I wanted to create a look that has a classic feel. It's a to me, it's a mid-length hairstyle, you know, somewhere around the neck area and stuff like that. Taking the idea that I came up with was to create a curvature line through the back, which I think we achieved. And I took, if you think about what we talked about earlier, this concave, this concave. So we took the exact same concave here and here and applied it to the back of the head, and look how we applied it to the front of the head, and look how strong we can create that look. Now, again, there are many thousands of different ways we could change this look. But I wanted to make it severe. I wanted to make it strong like that around the face. And again, that's my idea. Doesn't necessarily have to be your idea. We could come in and soften this up with slide cutting. We can come up in here with a razor and razor that out. It depends on the client. Sam doesn't talk a lot to me. She didn't explain to me a lot what she wanted. She said, go for it. Let me do whatever I think is best. So that's what I did for you guys.